The Hebrew poetry of medieval Spain is celebrated as some of the finest verse composed since the times of King David. But what if I told you that a significant portion of this poetry was almost lost, not to enemies of the Jews, but destined to boil water for laundry? Our story centers on a Jewish businessman and scholar named David Tzemach. Tzemach was a man obsessed. He knew of a family legend regarding a precious heirloom, a manuscript copy of medieval poetry that had belonged to a relative. It had been lost in his grandfather's lifetime, and Mr. Tzemach was on a mission to find it. For over 10 years, he scoured every archive and geniza in Baghdad. But despite his determination, he faced countless dead ends. Desperate, he shifted his approach, announcing that he would become a book dealer, seeking out any old manuscript or print. But even this failed. In a letter to a friend, he despaired, feeling like hope was slipping away. But then, in the late 1920s, a day arrived that would change everything. On the morning of a Brit Milah that he was to perform, Mr. Tzemach walked to the synagogue. As was the custom in Baghdad, he was accompanied by a band of singing children. Suddenly, he heard a woman's voice yell, "Chacham! Chacham!" He turned around. The woman explained that she had heard he was a buyer of old books. She had a room full of them in her attic. Would he come look? Though busy with the ceremony, Tzemach sent his servant to mark the location and promised to visit afterward. However, upon arriving, disappointment awaited him. The attic was cluttered with stacks of sidurim, chumashim, and masarim, nothing of value to a collector. But then he noticed something in the kitchen. A large pot of water was prepared for laundry, and next to it sat a massive basket filled with paper. In Baghdad, it was common to use paper to kindle fires. Tzemach stepped closer. This wasn't scrap paper. These were manuscripts. Mr. Tzemach was horrified. He scolded the woman, asking how she could burn holy papers. She explained that she needed to clear out the attic for rental, and innocently assumed that handwritten papers were not sacred at all. Tzemach approached the basket. Then he spotted it, a thick, handwritten volume sitting atop the heap. He picked it up. In a letter recounting the moment, he wrote, "I cannot describe to you that moment. I saw my life flash before my eyes. It was as if I was standing at Mount Sinai." This was it, his family's lost manuscript. It contained the signatures of the owners and the scribes dating back to the 17th century. Overjoyed, he paid the woman an honorable sum for papers that she had deemed worthless and literally rescued it from the flames. Inside the book lay a treasure of art and Jewish history. Much like a sculptor shapes stone into a work of art, a poem is the work of an artist who arranges words into something greater than words, a work of art. This book contained over 3,000 poems, hundreds of which had been previously unknown. It included not only entire collections of Spain's most revered poets, but even more material that would have otherwise been lost to time. In a miraculous act of divine providence, the manuscript was saved only hours before its destined fate to the flames. Eventually, the manuscript was acquired by Solomon Schocken, a Jewish publisher and owner of Germany's largest department store chain. Realizing its significance, he founded the Schocken Institute for Hebrew Poetry in Berlin. Today, the same institute in Israel safeguards this 500-year-old manuscript, and it has remained the bedrock of academic study into medieval Hebrew, Spanish poetry. The research stemming from this manuscript has illuminated the works of poets like Yehuda Halevi, Solomon ibn Gabirol, and many others. It revealed to us that these were not simply the greatest poets in Jewish history. They were among the greatest poets in human history. So, the next time you encounter a Sephardic poem, whether it's a piyut in synagogue or some reading on your own time, remember that those verses are our legacy. Those words encapsulate the thoughts, feelings, and yearnings of the Jewish people, and heaven itself refused to watch this legacy burn.